nor WBA organization opinion on the matter. In fact, the WBA president stated, "It's the contrary. He feels and he believes, just like everyone else, Gervonta taking a knee was a clear knockdown, and it should have been counted as such."
The World Boxing Association has canceled the rematch between Gervonta Davis and Lamont Roach, following another appeal from Roach. Talks of the rematch have been suspended as the organization reassesses the situation to reach a final decision. Until then, the fight remains on hold. A team of 7 boxing officials, including referees, judges, and WBA executives, has been formed to conduct an unbiased review. In the meantime, both fighters are free to pursue other matches.
You gonna fight next?
That's what I'm talking about. That's the question right there. I want to unify at 135. Me and Shakur already talked to each other, and if he's available and we can line it up, that's what we're going to do.
Really? Y'all wait, y'all spoke like this? Yo, let's get this popping.
For sure.
Like
He's
that.
talking about if he beats Tank, he's fighting Tank again. Obviously,
I mean,
the rematch.
We talking about past that. We talking past that because you got to give him the option to tell what he gonna do.
Yeah.
So you talk personally to Shakur, no managers, whatever.
Yeah.
Gervonta took a knee. That's automatically a knockdown. These are the rules of boxing. This is like ABCDs at this point. If you confused, then you either really casual or just a fanboy. This is not up for debate. I mean, Gervonta can have an excuse to why he took a knee.
Even without the knee, that should have been a knockdown. I thought I should have won a competitive fight. I think I did what I needed to do necessary to bank the rounds. Just a little frustrated with it.
This is the latest update, despite Lamont Roach's recent interview where he stated that the rematch was expected to take place in June or July. Roach had assured his interviewers that discussions for an immediate rematch were gaining momentum. Speaking on a podcast, he firmly insisted that Willis should not be involved in the next fight. Hell no, he can't do the next fight. Look at how many times he messed it up. The knee. Him going to the corner for assistance. I'm not saying he cheated or anything, but the coach wiped his face with a towel. You can't do that. That's a disqualification. You turned your back on the ref after taking a knee. Usually the ref would say, "All right, you don't want to fight anymore." Fights off.
Judge at the ringside. First moment, he's going down 115 to 113, and here's up Gervonta Davis. Judges for Weston and Black, he goes for about 114 to 114, even a draw. The decision is a majority draw.
Roach's petition to the New York State Athletic Commission to overturn the result was denied. However, both teams had confirmed that an immediate rematch was the next step, with reports suggesting it could take place toward the end of June. Roach stated, "I'm going to tell you right now, I'm signed and sealed. We are just waiting on the other half, that's all." However, things quickly changed when Roach's team pushed for a further review, hoping the rematch would proceed regardless. Unfortunately, their request inadvertently delayed the fight. While there wasn't much hype leading up to the March first bout between Gervonta "Tank" Davis and Lamont Roach, it has become the biggest talking point in the boxing world in the days and weeks following its conclusion.
You're now officially moving up to 35?
I mean, we gonna see. I mean, so I'm gonna be the champ at both ways.
Right.
And if there's no opportunity to unify at 35, I want to unify.
From the controversial 9th round of the fight, where Davis took a knee, went to his corner to have his face wiped with a towel, and then returned to the fight, all without being penalized by referee Steve Willis. The bout was ultimately ruled a majority draw, paving the way for a potential rematch between the two lightweight fighters. In the aftermath, a common narrative among fans was that Davis, who entered the fight as the favorite to defeat Roach, was overrated, based on how the fight played out. However, few are better equipped to answer that question than Roach himself, having spent 12 rounds in the ring with Davis. During his appearance on the March 18th episode of the It Is What It Is podcast, Roach set the record straight on whether he believes Davis is overrated.
Nas, you got anything else? You got anything else for Lamont?
Yo, last question. I just want to know, how has your life changed since the fight, man? You know, obviously we follow each other on social media. I see your followers went up, all of the other stuff kind of going up. How has things changed for you since the fight has happened?
Bruh, literally overnight, it changed. Like, I ain't gonna lie, I got walk around with security. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I walk around with my peoples. Like, it's crazy. I can't do the same stuff that I used to do.
I definitely want people to know that he was on his game that night. I'll tell everyone that 100%, Roach said. Just because he didn't live up to expectations doesn't mean he fought a bad fight. People are saying he's trash now and overrated, but he's a good fighter. I was in there thinking, I have to bring my best. It didn't take anything away from him. That's why the fight was so good, he added. So, there you have it. Both Davis and Roach should get the chance to prove themselves as the superior fighter when they face off in their rematch later this year.
So I can't go nowhere, bro. Like, I can't do nothing. So it's crazy. Like, it's just crazy because I know that that's what this come with if I get to the level that I'm supposed to be. But when it really happened to you, like, you sit back and look at it like, damn, like, it's really happened.
The narrative surrounding undefeated WBA lightweight champion Gervonta "Tank" Davis has shifted drastically since his March 1st bout against Lamont Roach Jr., which ended in a majority draw. Many believe Roach did enough to secure a victory and hand Davis his first professional loss. However, when considering that Davis was not penalized for taking a knee in the 9th round, a moment that should have resulted in a 10-8 scorecard for Roach rather than a 10-9 for Davis, it becomes clear that Davis may have escaped with an unearned result.
Truthfully speaking, it wasn't really hard to focus. Been an underdog before, obviously not a huge underdog, but when you go back to the Jamel fight, the world title fight, I was an underdog. When you go back to the Hector fight, it was an underdog. Very disrespectful underdog, honestly. So now when we get here to the Tank fight, it's just like, all right, here we go again. I feel like when my back is against the wall or against the ropes, it's like time to
Davis entered the fight as a heavy favorite, with many believing he was one of the hardest pound-for-pound punchers in the sport, and would have no trouble finding Roach's chin to secure an early finish. However, that was not the case. Now that the fight is over, fans are questioning whether Davis has been overrated, and if Roach exposed his weaknesses. Newly crowned WBO lightweight champion Keyshawn Davis, who holds a 13-0 professional record with 9 knockouts, has no relation to Gervonta Davis and hopes to fight the winner of the Tank vs. Roach rematch. During a recent appearance on the Porter Way podcast, Keyshawn directly addressed whether Roach had exposed
that fight that they had was a phenomenal fight. That joint was like one of the fights. I feel like could be one of the fights of the year. High level, skill level, 2 boxers in there, but still trying to fight. You know what I'm saying? Like, that was a hell of a fight. You know what I'm saying? And I understand a fight like that because I fight how they was fighting. I just feel like I do a better job at it.
Okay.
I don't think he got exposed, Keyshawn Davis said of Tank. I just think Lamont was better than everyone expected him to be. Lamont can really fight. I thought Tank would knock him out, so he proved me wrong. Lamont is better than we gave him credit for, but I don't think Tank was exposed or anything like that, he added. Props to Keyshawn Davis for not piling on Tank while he's down, unlike many others in the boxing community.
Who went down is number 3 for me. That's how I feel.
Sauce Walker was just here the other day.
Yeah.
I asked him what he thought about the fight. He's a huge boxing fan, you know that?
Yeah, hell yeah.
Huge boxing. He knows how to box, too. He knows how to throw his hands.
He showed me some videos.
Yeah, he said,
Yeah. Hell yeah.
I said, what do you think happened? He said, oh. He said, Roach, what?
Yeah.
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 He said, I don't care about the move. He goes, but I'm going to tell you what. If I were Roach, I ain't doing the rematch.
Many believe that Gervonta Davis is no longer the fighter he was just a few bouts ago, and Oscar De La Hoya recently commented on the noticeable decline in the southpaw from Baltimore. In an interview with Fight Hype TV, De La Hoya discussed undefeated WBC interim lightweight champion William Zepeda, who won the interim title after defeating Tevin Farmer in 2024 and is set for a rematch on March 29th. Golden Boy Promotions believes that once Zepeda fulfills his commitment against Farmer, he could face Shakur Stevenson and eventually challenge Tank for a title unification, especially now that Davis's rematch against Lamont Roach is uncertain. Shakur is a tough man to beat, but not impossible. His style is very complex, said the former champion.
Tank or Lamont? This is my opinion. Sure. It was a great fight. It was a close fight. Depending on what they do with that decision of taking the knee, depending if the commission reverses the decision, or I think a draw was meant to be. So I like the draw.
De La Hoya also took the opportunity to send a harsh message to Davis, emphasizing that if Tank delivered the same performance he did against Roach, the WBC champion would not give him a moment's peace in the ring. The outcome of a single fight now appears to have shifted the odds in favor of Shakur Stevenson if a bout against Davis materializes. Gervonta Tank Davis is not in his best moment, as the draw earlier this month with Lamont Roach Jr. has left him in a vulnerable position. Previously, Davis had avoided facing Stevenson, either by leaving him unanswered or outright eluding the matchup. However, after this result, he now seems much more open to a potential fight against the WBC lightweight champion.
Was that a good call on the route? No, if you take a knee, man, if you take a knee in the 90s or in 2000, you're taking a point out. That's the bottom line. You're taking a point out. I don't know what happened with the referee. Maybe he was a little starstruck. Maybe he was a little, yeah, because he loves Tank. He loves New York. He loves the big lights. The referee with the eyes,
However, before considering a fight against Stevenson, Tank is focused on finalizing his rematch against Roach as soon as possible. With a questionable performance against Roach, Gervonta Tank Davis sustained the first blemish on his professional record, settling for an unpopular draw on Saturday night at the Barclays Center. One judge scored the fight 115-113 in favor of Davis, while the other two had it 114-114, resulting in a majority draw. The crowd, reported at 19,250 in attendance, loudly booed the decision.
I could have stopped him. Could have stopped him. It's me. Definitely my fault.
With the draw, Davis, 31, retained his WBA lightweight title, while Roach, 2-1-25, gained significant respect, even though he didn't become a two-division champion that night. "I'm a little disappointed in the decision. I thought I pulled it out," said Roach, whose WBA junior lightweight title was not at stake. "That's what two skilled fighters do. Go in there and showcase their craft. I definitely thought I won, but we can run it back." Davis also believed he had done enough to secure the victory, particularly in the final 3 rounds. However, the result told a different story.
To get the victory over a spectacular fighter. I told y'all from the beginning, man, that
Davis felt he was landing clean shots and breaking Roach down as the rounds progressed, but with Roach constantly pressing forward, he chose to remain cautious to avoid making mistakes. However, CompuBox stats told a different story, showing that the 29-year-old Roach outworked Davis over the 12-round fight, landing 112 of 400 total punches, while Davis connected on 103 of his 279 attempts. Davis held a slight edge in power punches, landing 93 of 210 attempts compared to Roach's 87 of 252. The most controversial moment of the fight wasn't a punch, but rather a decision by referee Steve Willis. Seconds into the 7th round, Davis took a knee after absorbing a jab from Roach, then ran to his corner to have a cornerman wipe his face, an action he later explained was due to chemicals from his hair dripping into his eyes.